Hey friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope that you're doing well. Today I've got a huge new release from Paco Rabanne, or I guess it's just Rabanne now, part of their Invictus line, Invictus Victory Absolu, which comes in that new felt bottle design. It's looking cut, looking jacked. Yeah, it's not just people taking Ozempic nowadays, it's fragrance bottles too. Can't wait for the new 1 million where it's just like angular and looks like a crystal or something. So like I said, this is part of the Invictus Victory line, which good news for me is a fragrance line that I really like. So the question here today is Invictus Victory Absolu better than the fragrances that came before it, worse than the fragrances that came before it, or somewhere in between? Don't worry, I'll let you guys know everything you need to know about this fragrance in today's video. First off, we'll take a look at the presentation. So here we have the box. Up at the front, you have the name of the house, name of the fragrance, the size, and the concentration, 100 ml Parfum Intense. And yes, indeed, it is Rabanne, not Paco Rabanne. You have the R on top of the box, nothing on the sides. On the back, just a little tiny bit of information. 90% natural origin formula made in France. On the bottom, your badge code and your barcode. Badge code 50351. And here we have the bottle, like I said, that new design that was introduced with Invictus Parfum. Looks more modern, looks a little bit higher end. Has a really nice matte black finish to it. You have the V for victory right on the front there. Up on the top of the bottle, it says Invictus. You also have the Rabanne logo right there. The top is not matte, so a gloss top of the cap, the same as on Invictus Victory Elixir, which kind of interestingly, they have a matte cap on top of Invictus Victory, so they could have made this fully matte and they just chose not to. I guess because it gives you this sort of delineation where it's matte and then gloss, but I don't know, maybe it would look cool just to be completely matted out. On the bottom, you have the badge code etched into the glass there. And of course the atomizer built into the top. Let's go ahead and do a couple sprays here. There we go, same as ever. Every single time that I see this bottle, I regret buying the biggest size. It just looks stupid, very elongated. Yeah, but it was a good deal. So, yeah. Now, I bought my bottle from Europe. I'll go ahead and have it linked in the description along with the other Invictus Victory fragrances. It took just over a week to get here, so pretty quick, and wasn't overly expensive to order either. Now, of course, eventually it's gonna pop up at retailers and discounters in the US. So if you want to wait for it to become available at Macy's or Sephora or something, it probably won't be too long. And one quick update on the coupon codes that I give you guys. There is a new code for Gift Express for 15% off, and it's Gents15. That's right, for the first time in history, one of the stores was like, what if we gave you a better code? So there it is, Gents15, 15% off at Gift Express, so that's really cool. And then of course there's also Maple Prime, JOMASHOP, all those codes only work within the app. Fragflex, the Perfume Box, Max Aroma, Twisted Lily, many more. So anytime you shop at those stores, use those codes, save yourself a little extra money. All right, let's start talking Victory Absolu. How does this one smell? How does it match up against these other big dogs over here? Well, I guess first, let's actually do a very quick recap on these so we can talk about this one and how it is similar or dissimilar. That way everybody here is on the same page. So Invictus Victory, this one right here, I absolutely adore. It smells fantastic, very vanilla forward. So vanilla and tonka are gonna be some of the main things that you get here. It's warm, sweet, sexy, big compliment puller. Also has in there a touch of like olibanum, lavender, pink pepper, but not a huge amount. Also a little citrus as well off the top. Good performance, great for fall and winter time. And when that was released, it was immediately my favorite Invictus fragrance. But then Invictus Victory Elixir came out. I like that one even more. So it has that vanilla and tonka just like Victory does. Really sweet, has like a sparkling effervescence to it. When you spray it on, the vanilla is almost carbonated, the way it jumps off your skin. It smells really inviting, invigorating, just extremely enticing. The notes change a little bit. This one has cardamom in it. There's also lavender in here as well, a touch of incense, and also patchouli. But interestingly enough, Invictus Victory Elixir also has some similarities with fragrances like Le Beau Le Parfum from Jean Paul Gaultier, which is actually more well known for coconut. So it's almost like you took a bit of Invictus Victory, mixed it with parts of Le Beau Le Parfum and even some other fragrances out there like 1 Million Elixir, and then boom, Invictus Victory Elixir, which is again fantastic. So of course, for me, this is something I'm really hyped about. Unfortunately, as of now anyway, they're hitting us with a 3-note note breakdown. Myself and a lot of you out there very over the whole 3-note note breakdown thing. I know it doesn't change how the fragrance smells, but to me, when you get more than 3 notes, it feels like they're fleshing the fragrance out more. They're trying to tell more of a story of how it's supposed to come across. When it's only 3 notes, it feels like they're basically just saying, whatever, this is how we're gonna advertise it. We're gonna slap this on there, this on there, this on there, and call it a day. And I guess it makes it easier if you go into a store, because now whoever's selling you the fragrance or trying to sell you the fragrance is gonna be like, yep, it's got this, and then that, and then that. That's it. Basically, the dumbing down of fragrances. Yay. But yeah, 3 notes, and those 3 notes are black pepper off the top, amber in the mid, and sandalwood in the base. But you'll notice, looking at that note breakdown, not ultra similar to the fragrances that came before it. So does that note breakdown difference translate into a difference when you spray the fragrance on? Well, initially, it does smell different. If you're familiar with the Invictus Victory line, then when you smell this new one, you'll be able to place it. You'll be like, okay, yeah, Invictus Victory, that makes sense. So off the rip, this one is a little more aromatic. It does not have as much of that like sparkling, attention-grabbing vanilla. It's not as sweet initially as Invictus Victory Elixir or Invictus Victory. It has that little bit of black pepper in there, so like this touch of fresh spiciness. But yeah, side by side, you will not confuse these. If you actually spray this on here, go back and forth, or this one and this one, you will be able to easily tell a difference between them. Maybe if you just spray this on in a vacuum and you're going off of memory, then you might go, oh yeah, I mean, it smells pretty much like the other ones. But once you start comparing side by side, the differences come out and they're really obvious. So to me, these two come across actually sweeter than this one does off the top. Again, this one has a bit of that Le Beau Le Parfum to it, talking about Invictus Victory Elixir, so it has that almost tropical sort of sweet, fresh combo when you first spray it on, leaning much more toward the sweet side than the fresh. And then more of that vanilla coming through in Invictus Victory, especially compared to this one, because you don't really get like this big vanilla blast in Invictus Victory Absolu. Instead, as I said, a little more aromatic, that black pepper and the amber comes through. And the amber here is sweet. Don't get me wrong, Invictus Victory Absolu is not a fragrance devoid of sweetness. That's not what's going on. The amber is sweet. It's even like a touch syrupy at times, but also counterbalanced a little bit. So like the faintest little touch of powder in there, not much, just like a little faint hint, a nice deepness to it. Definitely of the 3 fragrances here, I would say Absolu comes across as the darkest of the bunch, which is probably not a surprise considering it's got the matte black bottle. It's also a little bit more grown up to me than Invictus Victory Elixir or Invictus Victory. Not that any of these are like hyper classy fragrances necessarily, but of the 3, this one is the most. And once that amber settles in to where you start picking it up more, which really only takes a couple minutes, like that initial blast where it's a little more aromatic and the black pepper is in there and everything that I talked about, that doesn't last very long. The amber takes over pretty quick. But once that happens and it starts to sweeten up a little bit, it has this nice depth to it, this nice deepness to it, this richness, slightly more elegant, slightly more classy compared to the others. It starts to come into its own. It smells really, really nice, which actually right this minute, I'm wearing Invictus Victory Absolu here and Victory Elixir right here. And you cannot confuse the two. You really can't. Going back and forth, it's obvious which is which. Now I will say, off tester strips, as happens from time to time, you're a little bit closer. And that's where you can get tripped up. If you were to go into a store and you were to spray this on a tester strip, this one, and do this, you might start to think, oh, this is actually pretty darn close to Victory Elixir, because off a tester strip, they do smell really close. But off skin, it's a different story. So through the mid, Invictus Victory Absolu, even though it's kind of doing its own thing, you can still tell is an evolution, if you want to call it that, of the Invictus Victory DNA, of its style. It's not the exact same as those over there, but it should kind of scratch the same itch to an extent. If you want Invictus Victory, you really like that style, you still want a lot of that sweetness, but maybe you don't want it as sparkling, you don't want it as, like I said, effervescent, the way the vanilla comes across, you don't even want it to be as vanilla forward, this would work for you. But when you hit the dry down, it gets even more different. And it's because of the sandalwood. And that's another place you can get tripped up with this one right here. If you spray this on and within 15 minutes you call it, and you just go like, nah, that's what it is, then you miss out on the Drydown. And the Drydown here is quite woodsy, at least in comparison to this and this. I'm not saying it's a nuclear wood bomb or anything like that, but in the Drydown, it has that lightly peppered woodiness, and that's really what's shining through the most. And compared to Victory Elixir or Victory, those ones really hinge on the tonka, the vanilla when you hit the Drydown. These are not fragrances where you get a whole bunch of woodiness that comes out in the Drydown. This one, you can easily pick up the woodiness together with that residual touch of sweetness from the amber. And in the Drydown, to me, because I wore these all three at once when they first came in, this one in the Drydown is easier to tell apart than these two by a pretty good margin. So whereas Victory and Victory Elixir in the Drydown, maybe you would say, oh yeah, but they're both playing off the vanilla, the tonka, and they're kind of doing similar things, right? If you have all three on at the same time in the Drydown, you can pick this one out the easiest. And it's gonna be because of that woodiness that sticks out a lot more than these. So that's how it comes across to me. It is playing in the same ballpark. You can tell it's Invictus Victory, but very easily, if you do side by side, in the opening mid Drydown, it is doing its own thing. It's not something where it's like, oh, this is the exact same as this. And again, just telling you guys, don't fall into the trap here if you're really interested in it of spraying it on a tester strip and doing this, because it lies a little bit with this one. I mean, they don't smell the exact same, but way closer here than here. And do let it dry down all the way, because in actuality, that woodiness that it has in the Drydown may not work as well for you than the vanilla that this one has or this one. Because for me, I like the Drydown here. I think it smells good. I prefer the additional vanilla in here and here. I like the Drydowns of these, like the Far Drydown, a little bit better. I do, though, really like Invictus Victory Absolu. I think it smells great. As I said before, a little bit classier, a little bit deeper, a little bit darker than the two that came before it. And as you would expect from an Invictus Victory fragrance, the performance here is solid as well. It doesn't have quite the same push that Victory and especially Victory Elixir have, in the sense of that, that vanilla, that spicy, warm vanilla, the way that it just really, like I said, leaps off your skin, grabs attention. It doesn't have that. When you first spray this one on, you'll notice right away that it's missing that aspect. And I think, at least the way that I interpret it, that these two push a little bit harder because of that. Not that the projection here is bad, it's not, it's still solid. It's just these a little more pump to them, a little more oomph. Staying power though, about what you would expect. It's in line with the others. Like I said, I'm wearing both of these right now, right this moment, and I can pick both up really easily. Now, seasonality is about what you would expect for this type of fragrance with the description that I've given and everything. It's gonna be more fall, winter, and also spring, a little bit more of an evening scent than daytime, but it is an Invictus Victory, so it has enough of that complement factor, that ease of use, that you could pull it off during the day if you wanted to pretty easily. Okay, so all of that out of the way, at the end of the day, if I could only pick one of these, which one am I taking? Still for me, Victory Elixir. Love that fragrance. Jeez, just open the door and yell at it, "Get out of here, frog!" But I don't think that it's noticeably worse than Invictus Victory. It's very different in how it approaches things, and I wouldn't necessarily always use these at the same times. This one for me, a little bit more playful. This one, slightly more serious, still with that nice, sweet edge to it. And I think it's a really solid addition to the line. Thankfully, it does things different enough that I think that it's not redundant really for any of these. I think in actuality that Invictus Victory Elixir is more redundant to Victory than Absolu is. For some people, Victory Absolu is gonna be fantastic. That change, you know, taking that vanilla and kind of putting that to the side, ramping up that woodiness a bit, and then giving it that deeper amber, you know, slightly classing it up a little and removing some of that sparkle. For some people, that's gonna be a complete win. For other people who are looking for their Invictus Victory fragrances to really reach out and grab attention and, you know, give more of that sweet aspect mixed with like warm spices, this one may not appeal to them quite as much. So while I know some people are going to be disappointed with this one, possibly for me, it smells really nice. And it is not, at least to me, redundant, at least not any more so than Invictus Victory Elixir already was. So there we go, guys. Victory Absolu, the newest Invictus. As I said, you can pick it up from Europe if you want to right now. Probably take a little over a week to get to you. If you wait a little while, you can sample it in stores, spray it on side by side, check it out, see if it works for you so it's a little bit safer. But like I said 100 times, if you're gonna do that, spray it on your skin. Don't bother with the tester strips with this one. I think just on skin is the way to do it. And then if you want to wait a little while longer, it'll pop up at discounters. So choice is yours. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.